nationwide news feed. Let's talk about it. Dialect to do something about it. Ship got the flow wide open if you got questions about it. Man, it's the show that brings you to your raw. To solve all problems, it starts with real talk. Real talk. It's 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 real talk. Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
And here we go. The first brand new show of 2025. We are here. Real Talk Memphis is live and on the air. Happy New Year, everybody. Glad to be back after a couple of weeks. I trust that you all had a wonderful holiday season. Most everybody's back in the fold today. Schools are back, and a lot of you are back off your vacations and the whole 9 yards. So it's good to be here. It's good to be back in the air chair to start yet another year at this wonderful radio station. I am your humble host. My name is Chip Washington. Good to make your acquaintance. Glad to have you with us if you are going to check us out this evening. Now, there are many ways that you can actually find this fine piece of radio broadcasting. First, we are on live 91.7 on your FM dial. That will be WYXR. You can also find us on the WYXR app. We are also available on the TuneIn app. And we'll be on Facebook Live this evening, live streaming the show. A bit later on in the week, when this show posts, you can find us on YouTube. And since we're a podcast, did you know we're a podcast? We're a podcast. You can find us wherever it is you get your podcast. So again, glad to have you with us. Now, let me just say this at the top. I know that I've been pushing it and promoting it a bit. We were supposed to have attorney Alan Crone was supposed to join me at the top of the show. He's an employment attorney. Many of you are aware of the Memphis Shelby County school situation. He contacted me a little while ago and said that he had an emergency and he could not be on the show tonight. Fear not. If you know me, I will get him on the show one way or another. But that's okay. We do have a couple of guests that we can talk to in just a few minutes as well. Let me see here. Speaking of the show, Jerred Price. A lot of you, especially downtown folks, know Jerred. He is the president of the Downtown Neighborhood Association, big in the community, always keeping folks aware of what is happening. Of course, our downtown area is what is the crown jewel of the city, where all of our guests and our tourists and everybody comes. And, of course, people want to feel safe down there. He has worked hard. He's worked hand in hand with the police department to try to create that type of atmosphere in the downtown area. And he is also doing something. It's kind of his own project where he wants to bring some music back. You remember the Mud Island Amphitheater? Yeah. He wants to kind of bring that back and with a series of pop-up concerts and some things like that. So, yeah, he seems to have some energy behind all that. We'll talk to him about that in just a few minutes. And a little bit later, we will talk to State Representative Harold Love Jr. He is someone who, like many in the Mid-South, is a Tennessee State University graduate. Well, if you've been keeping up with the news about Tennessee State University, they have had a lot of problems, a lot of conversation about the financial side of things, the academic side of things. They've had to lay off some people. It has been a mess in terms of that. Well, he has been working very, very hard as a proud graduate and a proud alumnus of that school to try to get things back on the right track, so to speak. In terms of funding in particular, the state owes Tennessee State University millions and millions of dollars. So we'll talk about that as well as a few other things in just a few minutes. But it's at this time of the broadcast that we salute you. A lot of folks, new year, new birthday, you're getting a year older, another trip around the sun, the whole 9 yards. Well, this is the time of the broadcast where we shout you out and make sure that everybody knows this is your special day. But I can't do that. And I will do it now for the first time in 2025 when I say, hit it, Brand.
Happy birthday!
So this is the 2025 version, January 6th version of the birthday shout out. Happy birthday going out to Jasmine McLean. Lamar Marshall celebrating a birthday as well. Happy birthday, Deborah Powell Alexander. Christopher Marble celebrating his birthday today, as is Carl Patton, George Smith, Willie Bunton, and Lakeisha Ramsey. Happy birthday to each and every one of you. Hope this day has been filled with love and laughter, and you stayed warm because it's pretty cold outside. From all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, happy birthday to you. And we hope to be around next year for your next trip around the sun. Thank you, Brand. All right, that's the way you kicked off a brand new year, brand new show. I failed to mention something that you're all aware of and how cold it is today. It's very cold outside, and this is going to be a pattern. We're going to see this for the remainder of the week. And did you know, sometime late Thursday night into Friday, that dreaded S word is coming back. Now, we saw a few flurries, snow flurries, I guess depending on where you are in the city or the county earlier this morning. But we are looking at what could be a significant snow event starting next Thursday night and going all the way through Friday, which means that we will see accumulations. And we don't know yet how much we're going to get. Now, I hate to do this, but I'm just going to say be prepared. Now, for most of you, that means going to the store and buying everything out, right? As someone said earlier, if you're going to do that, at least leave a loaf of bread or two for other folks, okay? So we are looking at some snow later on this week. I predict right now, if this thing holds up, that there will be no school on Friday. Now, I hope that anybody out there who's in the education business doesn't take my word for it. Just watch your favorite weathercaster on TV. You'll get the information. But yeah, it looks like we could see some of the white stuff as we head into the weekend, or especially on Friday. Of course, many of us are aware of the death of former president, the 39th president of the United States, Jimmy Carter. He died last weekend at the age of 100 years old. He's lying in state in Plains, Georgia now, which is his hometown. They will have the funeral for him, the state funeral for him in Washington, D.C., and that will be this coming Thursday. So, again, may he rest in peace. He was a great man and did a lot of great things for not only the country but for the world as well. Now, what I wanted to talk about earlier with our guest who did not make it, and I'm sorry, I hope you guys still stick with me tonight, but as Alan didn't make it, Alan Crone, the employment attorney for Dr. Marie Fagans, the Shelby County commissioners are getting into this now. There's a group of 5 Memphis and Shelby County School Board members who stated they want Dr. Fagans out. They want her terminated. They don't want to work with her anymore. They come up with at least 3 allegations of charges that they say back up their claim. Now, Alan Crone has said on television and in the newspapers that these cases are weak. These are weak charges. It's a pretty flimsy case to try to fire someone. If they fire her with cause, they will have to write a check for $480,000. Which is the full payment of what she would get if she were here for, I guess, 3 or 4 years, I think, whatever the contract was, in terms of that. Depending on who you talk to, depending on who you listen to, you might hear various, stories about this. I've had people to tell me that, yeah, this is going to happen. And somebody even told me it was going to be even more people than original 5. There's a lot of lobbying. There's a lot of back talking going on. There's a lot of behind the scenes. Now, today was the day, and it was extended by 2 days that Dr. Fagans was supposed to turn in a written explanation of the allegations against her. That was supposed to be on Saturday, but her attorney asked if they could extend that to today. I have no idea whether that has been done yet or not, but she was supposed to turn that in today. And of course, the folks on the school board were supposed to look at it and make some sort of a determination as to whether they accepted it or not. There's supposed to be a school board meeting on the 14th of this month, which at that meeting, unless something changes, there is going to be a determination as to whether or not they will indeed terminate Dr. Marie Fagans. Now, in terms of the court of public opinion, it is on Dr. Fagan's side. A lot of folks are very angry and upset about all of this. And even members of the Shelby County Board of Commissioners are upset. One of the members stated over the weekend, we are going to file I don't know what the term is, but they're going to discuss what amounts to a no confidence vote against the Memphis and Shelby County School Board on Wednesday. They're going to do that this week, where they're saying, you know what, we don't agree with what you're doing, we don't like what you're doing, and so we don't have any confidence in you. So I asked the question, well, what does that mean? When you say, well, we're going to issue a no confidence resolution against the Memphis and Shelby County School District, what does that mean? Well, we heard that it is possible that the money that was allocated for the new Fraser High School could be put on pause. That money came from the Shelby County Commissioners. Now, they're saying if this isn't straightened out and resolved, and Dr. Fagans isn't allowed to continue what she has started to do after only 8 months on the job, that they're going to pause the funding. Now, let me just stop right here. Time out. First of all, the question about all of this from the board perspective is, at least my question is this about the kids or is this about personal? We is it personal or is it professional? We don't like the way she talks to us, and we don't like what she says, and we don't like how she does what she does in the whole 9 yards. Well, you hired her to come in and clean up a district that has had more than its share of challenges. And so now, as she starts to do that, now we are dealing with, we don't know if, we don't know if we want her to continue this after only 8 months on the job. Now the county commission comes in and says, well, we're going to issue a vote of no confidence, and we're going to hold the new Fraser High School hostage in all of this. So again, I'll ask the question, is this for the kids or is this for somebody else? Because to me, this is a bad deal here all the way around. And the kids are the ones that are going to have to pay the price for what grown folks do. Instead of trying to work this thing out, we're going to all be paying very close attention to the next week or two, to try to see exactly what happens in terms of her future with this district. But to withhold money or put a pause on, whoa, if you don't straighten up, we're not going to put that money out there like we said we were going to do. The kids had nothing to do with this, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing. So let us use some common sense here. And let us understand that we don't need to threaten, the academics of our young people, which is what you're doing when you're saying you're going to pause the money, hold back the money for a brand new constructed school that Fraser definitely needs. All right, so I'm done with that one now, and hopefully, like I said, pretty soon we'll be able to get Alan Crone on. And he can talk about all this as time moves forward. I'm going to stop right there. That's news and notes for this evening, and we're going to get into the broadcast. So when we come back, we'll get things started on this chilly Monday evening in the city. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. You know who you are. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
Want to reach a passionate audience who loves Memphis's arts and music scene? Sponsor WYXR and connect your brand with the city's creative community. More information at wyxr.org/sponsorship.
Programming for WYXR is brought to you by a grant from the Hyde Family Foundation, who is committed to creating a better future for the city of Memphis by supporting initiatives that enrich our city's cultural landscape.
Community Alliance for the Homeless will be conducting the annual Unsheltered Point-in-Time Count on January 22nd, 2025. This count collects data surrounding unsheltered homelessness in our community on a single night in January and is required by HUD to secure community funding. To learn more about how to volunteer or share known locations, visit cafth.org.
Did you know you could donate your vehicle and support WYXR at the same time? We offer free pickup and it's tax deductible. Go to cars.wyxr.org to donate your car today.
Programming on WYXR is brought to you by a grant from Arts Memphis, who has invested $94 million into our local arts community to teach, uplift, unite, and engage Memphians of all ages and zip codes.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this first Monday in a brand new year. Glad to be here with you and glad to have you here with me. Also glad to have my first guest tonight. We had to shift some things around, and I'm really appreciative that folks are flexible. Jerred Price is someone who many of you know. He's I call it a community advocate. I also would call him an entertainer because he's an entertainer as well in this city. He's also the president of the Downtown Neighborhood Association, and he takes great pride in that as well. And he is here to talk a little bit about another project that he's trying to reclamate here in the city. But please welcome the aforementioned Jerred Price. Jerred, it's good to have you, man. Happy New Year. How you doing?
Happy New Year to you, Chip. Things are going well. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much again for taking the time to come on the broadcast tonight. Now, as I mentioned at the top, you are the president of the Downtown Neighborhood Association. We all know that downtown is our crown jewel. This is, where a lot of the business is done. A lot of our folks coming in from all over the world coming to spend some time in our city, hang out at Beale Street, hang out downtown. We have seen some issues of crime sort of creeping into that area. Now, you've been working very hard, and I know you've been working in a cooperative spirit with the Memphis Police Department in reference to all of this. How do you feel they seem to be cooperating in terms of this? I mean, what are you looking for in terms of making sure that our downtown does stay free from crime and people can be comfortable down there?
Well, I mean, it's like you said. I'm going to piggyback on it. A strong downtown in any city is the heartbeat. It's the pulse of the whole town. And downtown, anywhere you go, if you go to a big city, a major metropolitan area, your downtown is, if you see a strong downtown, you know that you've got a strong city. And like you said, tourists, millions of people come downtown to Beale Street each year. It's actually the most visited tourist attraction in the state of Tennessee. Yeah. So we get to claim that title right here in Memphis. So we need to make sure downtown is the best that it can be. But like you said, we've had a lot of concerns about crime. 3 out of 4 people think downtown is dangerous. Wow. It's crime ridden. Wow. But the truth is less than 2% of all crime in Memphis happens in downtown. And so we've pushed a campaign out online, on Facebook, on social media, and to our subscribers and emails to let people know that. But one of the things, when I was elected president in January for my 2-year term for the Downtown Neighborhood Association, I said crime's going to be our major focus. And we have done a great job partnering with MPD. We've requested backup and task force from the sheriff's office, from the state troopers, and we're here to report that, as of the year end 2024, downtown crime is down by over 25%.
Yeah, we've heard that, and that's good news for many folks. One of the things I do know that the police department is looking at is having a downtown precinct. They're going to build one and put that together. That obviously sounds like somebody is paying attention and they understand the need as well. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think a lot of it is also the fact that we've got a mayor. Mayor Paul Young has been the Downtown Memphis Commission president before, so he understands the importance of downtown and the role that it plays on collecting tourism dollars that are distributed then throughout the city.
Right.
So if we lose tourism and we lose our downtown, we lose tax dollars that pave roads everywhere and that fix parks everywhere and that, help with all the city issues. So we've been pressing for a downtown precinct since they closed the one that existed on Bill Street years and years ago. Now a new command center is going to be opening up right there on Peabody, right next door to Hooters. And they're going to have a brand new police precinct, a command center right there. That's going to help deter, any criminal activity that's happening in downtown.
Yeah, that's a big deal, and I know for a lot of folks who work down there and live down there and visit down there, that is a very big deal and a positive plus. One of the other things that you're doing is, and it seems to be gathering a bit of momentum, the old Mud Island and the old Mud Island Amphitheater, where they used to have concerts and a lot of music and a lot of fun. I've been to a few of those back in the day, but you're trying to sort of, if you will, bring it back. And I guess there's a series of events coming up, some pop-up concerts. First of all, what made you decide that this was something that you wanted to take on as well?
Well, 2 years ago, we started the Save the Amphitheater movement because people would often come up to me and say, "Hey, Jerred, you're a musician.
Yep.
You're also our president of the association. Can you combine those two and bring back the music to downtown?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean bring back the music?" They're like, "Well, we've got this beautiful amphitheater over here with world-class views of our city, of the river, the sunsets, and it's not being used." And, I was got to think, I'm like, that is really a crown jewel that we're letting go by the wayside. And so I said, well, let me see what community momentum is there. I'm all about the community. I'm all about making sure that the people's voice is heard. And if it's something the people want to prioritize, then that's what we should prioritize.
Right.
And so we did a community engagement event, and the downtown community showed up and said, this is something that they want to prioritize. And I'm there to serve them. So I said, let's do it. We most recently had we're going to do 3 meetings. Our third one happened last year in July or August. We had over 150 people show up at Laughlin Yard. We had state leaders, county leaders, city leaders, and over 150 people, and they all said, we want this to happen. So we pressed on with it. We created a website, savetheamphitheater.com. We got merchandise on there. We started to put together what it's going to look like to activate that space. And when we talk about saving the amphitheater, Chip, it's not so much the actual structure itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's the experience that people had when they went out there.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, what we want to do is we want a brand new amphitheater to be built. And the community was polled, and 90-something% said, yes, that's where we need to go with this, because a bigger, nicer amphitheater means more people, which means more people visiting our downtown restaurants and hotels and shops. So we're going to activate it in April of 2025 just for a weekend.
Okay.
To show them that the momentum is there and that it can be done. And then we're going to push that momentum into the city and say, how can we get a new one built to where we can have world-class concerts out here on our riverfront again?
You've been talking about this, as you said, for a while now, and you've met with members of the city council and said that they seem to be enthusiastic and excited about it. You mentioned our Mayor Paul Young, of course, in his experience, and I'm sure that he's behind this as well. Anything that shines a positive light on our city is a good thing. When you were talking about the number of people, downtown who come downtown, and I'm sure the annual numbers of people who visit our city are pretty large. one thing that comes to mind, 901 Day last year, this past September, was where we celebrate our city. 12,000 people showed up that day in downtown, and there wasn't a peep, there wasn't a problem, there wasn't an incident anywhere to be found. What does that say to you about the commitment of the city as a whole to keep our downtown, the crown jewel of this city, if you will?
Well, it just shows me that results are stronger than rhetoric.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of rhetoric about downtown being unsafe and it's not a good place to go or blah, 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 blah. Let me tell you something. I've lived down here for 10 years. I've never felt unsafe in downtown Memphis. Are there incidences? Absolutely. But there's incidences in every city downtown, in every neighborhood of every city. And, it's shows you that, like you said, not on one day, tens of thousands of people down here, not one issue.
Right.
No break-ins, no shootings, no dangerous, nothing happened.
Right.
Same thing with New Year's, Chip. We had tens of thousands of people down here on Beale Street. You didn't hear a peep.
Right.
Because it was great. It was safe. It was fun. So it's showcasing. We need to get the media to showcase those wins and to show people, hey, downtown isn't as bad as what people are thinking. And so I've reached out to some of my friends at Action News 5 and Fox 13 and News Channel 3, and I've said, can we do a story about how much crime is down and how many great events we've had recently with no issues? Because we need to hear those numbers too. But I also, to reach out to your listeners, Chip, and thank you for letting me be on here.
Sure.
We can't choose as citizens to believe the data when we see that crime is increasing and say, oh, look at the data, we're getting worse. But then when we see the same data report that crime is decreasing, say that it's fake news. You either got to take the good and the bad, or don't believe in any of it. So we've got to make sure that we are dialing in. If we see things trending one way and we act hard like we have with the Downtown Neighborhood Association, we've worked diligently to bring this down, and we finally see those numbers come down, we need to celebrate those wins.
Absolutely, that, man. I mean, this is it really is, and based on what you just said, I mean, there's evidence to point to. Statistically, the police department says that we've been down. Crime is down 25%. I think it may take a while for folks to feel that, but you have to look at those numbers and say to yourself, well, you know what, we're trending in the right direction. I mean, we're not where we want to be yet. But efforts like you and efforts like people like you and a lot of other folks who are really saying, look, you know what, we need to showcase the positive more and the negative less. That will get us where we want to be and where we need to be. Will you do me a favor? Will you keep us in tune on all of this? I really want to follow you and follow this momentum, especially with that downtown amphitheater and see where it goes. I hope that you will come back on the show. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely, and for anybody that wants to follow downtown, you can look us up on Facebook. It's the Downtown Neighborhood Association of Memphis. We have a campaign that we call Keeping Downtown Informed, so you get to see all these updates, all the new developments, new businesses opening, all kinds of stuff. And then we also have the Save the Amphitheater page on Facebook too. We encourage people to follow along as well.
Jerred Price, ladies and gentlemen, president of the Downtown Neighborhood Association. Jerred, great to see you, my friend. Happy New Year. And I look forward to talking to you again later on this year. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chip. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. A sprig of good news as we start this year. I mean, if we can get this effort going here, if Jerred, you should go to the website, by the way. It's pretty comprehensive in terms of what they're trying to do. They have some concerts lined up in a few months, and hopefully there'll be momentum. There'll be people that'll be interested. And yeah, why not reclaim? He's right about that. If you've ever been to the Mud Island Amphitheater, the view is absolutely amazing. I mean, it is a great place to see a concert. We thank Jerred for coming on the show. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we are going to talk education. Yes, we're going to talk education. That's all I'm going to tell you. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest? or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
Support for WYXR, including the 2024 Raised by Sound Festival, comes from Sims Murphy, leaders in brain and spine care, whose mission is to deliver the best care for people suffering from spine and brain conditions while advancing the field of neuroscience. More information at sims-murphy.com.
Support for WYXR comes from GPAC, presenting Michelle Indegocello on Saturday, January 11th at 8 p.m. Experience Grammy-winning multi-instrumentalist, singer, songwriter, and producer Michelle Indegocello and her latest project, No More Water, The Gospel of James Baldwin, which marks the eminent writer's centennial birthday. Tickets and more information at gpacweb.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this very chilly Monday evening in the city, the first Monday in a brand new year. Chip here, glad to have you with us as well. And I said before we went to break, I said we were going to talk about education when we came back. And we sort of started the show off talking about education, and we're going to continue that theme. One of our greatest HBCUs here in this country, in our state, is Tennessee State University, and I told our guest during the commercial break that there were a lot of family members who are proud graduates of TSU and great supporters of that school, and they mentioned him as being somebody who was an advocate. Please welcome to the show, State Representative Harold Love Jr. And State Representative, thank you, Love. I appreciate you being on the show. Happy New Year to you. How are you tonight?
Same to you. Very happy New Year to you as well, and certainly we are all adjusting to this cooler weather here in Tennessee, but everything's good. You
got that right, absolutely. Well, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule. And I know you guys are back in session, I believe, in another week or so, right? Another week or two? Is that
yes, we go in January the 14th.
The 14th, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about this. We have heard, we have seen, and there has been plenty of conversation about TSU and the struggles the school has had. We've heard that the school is owed millions and millions of dollars by the state of Tennessee. We've seen a board completely replaced by the governor's office. We've seen the last interim president wasn't there a few months after Dr. Glover retired, and now you have a new interim president who was, I guess, on the board there. First of all, as a proud alumnus yourself, what do you see as the biggest issue or hurdle that is going on in reference to TSU?
Thank you for the opportunity again and for those questions. Sure. I think that we all would agree that the underfunding of the university has played a critical role in the university's development since the very beginning. For those who may not know what land grant institutions are, very quickly I'll tell you that in 1862, a congressman named Justin Morrell created a series of colleges called land grant universities. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, those schools did not allow African Americans to enroll. And so the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, here in Tennessee, was one of those schools that did not allow African Americans to enroll. He followed back up in 1890 with a second land grant act called the Morrell Act of 1890. And this required states to either accept the money and allow African Americans and other races to enroll, mm-hmm. or build a separate institution that they could not refuse persons entrance based upon race. And the strong point behind this second Morrell Act was that those schools were supposed to be funded in an equal fashion. Several decades later, there were some more monies set aside, what we call federal formula grants, around teaching, research, and agriculture extension that allowed what was learned at the school to be taken out to the farmers and the ranchers in various states to help them understand how to grow their crops better, how to raise their livestock better. And this required what we call a 1-to-1 match, which meant that for every federal dollar that came down to the school, the state was supposed to give that school a dollar match to keep those monies. When I got elected in 2013, I discovered that Tennessee State University had not been receiving its full match. In conversations with the Dean of Agriculture and the President of the university, they both let me know that there was still some money that had not been matched at that time. So in 2016, we got the first time a full match for all of TSU's money. But then I decided to go back and research how much Tennessee State had not been getting in the past. So I was chairing a committee that researched from 1957 to 2020, and discovered that Tennessee State had not been given a total of $544 million.
So let me pause you right there. So you're saying, as from what you know and your research showed, that this school, this fine institution of higher learning, is short almost over $500,000 is what you're saying, correct?
Yes, and that was in a specific, what I call, bucket of money. That was specifically for teaching, research, and agricultural extension.
Okay. So having said that, so now the onus should be, rather, I would imagine, is it on the state? Should it be on the state? And now that this has been brought to a lot of folks' attention, and a lot of people are paying attention to all of this, where do we go from here? I mean, how do we start to claim what is rightfully due to this school?
So to your point, in the middle of the committee's deliberations, I then gave a charge to the president of the university, to the Commissioner of Finance Administration, and to the Executive Director for the Tennessee Higher Education Commission to meet and figure out what might be the best way for Tennessee State to be made better in light of these financial underfundings. The best course decided upon by all three parties was to look at infrastructure. Tennessee State in 2020 had over $318 million of deferred maintenance. No fault of their own, but from years of underfunding, buildings were in awful shape and they were falling apart. And so there was a $250 million allocation put in the state budget the next year to specifically address those deferred maintenance issues. So we do know, of course, that people saw on television and newspaper articles that sometime later there was a report sent from the U.S. Department of Education, U.S. Department of Agriculture, listing a different allocation of money that they saw that Tennessee State had not been funded at the same level as University of Tennessee, Knoxville. And this is the amount that people commonly refer to as the $2 billion gap in funding. What the federal government looked at was the per pupil funding between Tennessee State University and University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and the other 18 land grants across the country. So there are 18 land grants across the country that fit into the 1890 category. And so this is the path they're all trying to take to recoup those funds, because we know that when those schools don't have their funds, their scholarship offerings are oftentimes lower, their endowments are lower, their buildings are oftentimes in disrepair. And we know that across the country, schools are in the process of trying to rectify that situation. Then what we saw was there were some audit issues with the university. The university had some issues where they were not having clean audits, and the state committee that was charged with reviewing those and giving a report out on those and recommendations for renewal of the board's existence made the decision that the board may need to be replaced. And I want to be clear, the board appointments have always been the governor's. It wasn't the case that the governor removed some persons who were not appointed by him or the previous governor.
Okay. So this is on the behest of the governor. Now let me ask you this question: Do you see or in your conversations with either the new board or the governor's office or some of the leadership up in Nashville a desire to, or an effort to try to make good on this, because what you just shared with us is a very, very big deal in my estimation.
Sure.
We've seen layoffs up there, folks, and I mean there's just been a lot of issues, the financial issues you talked about, and a lot of other issues as well. Is there any effort? Is there any energy, or is there anything that you hear from the leaders of this legislative body up there, or the governor, by saying, look, this is wrong. We need to make this right. I mean, are you seeing that? Are you hearing that? Where do you fall on in terms of that?
Sure, I am seeing that from my personal experience. When I started making those inroads in 2013 to work on Tennessee State's underfunding with regard to the state matching grants, we found that there was a little bit of reluctance at first, but once we showed the data, then we were able to get some support, which was, I think, identified by the $250 million investment. There have also been conversations about how to get more sustained money going forward. We've in the past had $2 million set aside for scholarships for students who are on what we call the purge list. The next year we had $5 million set aside for a scholarship for those same type of students. So there is appetite there. I do think that what your listeners need to be aware of is the fact that none of us in the legislature are sitting back and resting. We are constantly working. You may not see us reporting out on the news or in social media ventures what we're doing. That's why I'm so grateful for this podcast, to give us a chance to talk about what we're doing. And we're also in conversation with our colleagues across other states, because we want to coordinate with them to find out what they're doing that's successful and what we're doing that may be successful also. People oftentimes, they immediately throw out, we should have a lawsuit and we should sue the state of Tennessee to recoup those dollars. And I remind people that lawsuits are fine, but I oftentimes think that they should be what we pursue once we find that there is no energy, when we find there is no appetite to recoup these funds.
We have heard, around the country, in particular, Mississippi. It's almost like there's a desire for the death of HBCUs, and Mississippi wants to close 3 of them. The legislative house, the body, wants to close 3 HBCUs in the state of Mississippi, and it's very troubling because we're seeing this shift in thinking, in some of these legislative bodies around the country, and we really don't know what is happening. Now, there does seem to be a ground roots base here with what you're talking about. A lot of people are aware of this inequity, if you will, in terms of these funds. How long would this process take? Since you've been working on it for a while, I mean, you're going step by step and you're doing the right things, and you said you're starting to see some shift in the movement a bit. But
Sure.
but how long does one think that this continued lack of funding, if you will, for the school can go on without some sort of equitability on the back end?
I will say this: if one looks at the actual start of the committee's research in 2020, what you will see that once the committee stopped its work in 2021, we saw a swift response. In 2022, those $250 million were allocated to the university. And I think what you'll see is that, again, we have not stopped working. To your question, what's the time frame? I think we need to see some results in the next 1 to 3 years, and I'm including 2025 as part of a 1-year posture, that we need to see movement in some sustainable funding for the universities. And even when you look at the letter sent to the governors by the Biden administration, Department of Agriculture and Department of Education, they encourage the states to look at a possible multi-year approach to making a dent in these deficits, and even the possibility of doubling the match that these schools have received. Now, keep in mind, even though we've made progress, Tennessee State is very unique because the other 18 land grants, there are only 2 others that have gotten their state match, and University of Arkansas Pine Bluff is going to be getting their state match this year. And Tennessee State is making strides. And again, if you look at the investment, $250 million, We now know that we're going to do that, and we're going to go back and ask for the remaining $294 million of that $544 million. But that's in coordination with the university president, with the board of trustees, and also keeping alumni aware of what we're doing out there.
One final question: do you think that this new board that the governor put in place really has, I understand that they're on the board of Tennessee State University, but with your familiarity with some of these individuals and this whole process, do you feel like they have a real heart to try to do what is right for this university, to do what is fair and equitable for this university moving forward?
Sure. And I'll say this. When we first found out that there were going to be some board members rolling off earlier last year because their term may not be renewed, we then had conversations among ourselves in the legislature about what do we do if this thing got larger than that. We soon found that the entire board was going to be replaced. In those conversations with the Tennessee State University Nashville chapter of the Alumni Association, they put forth names that they thought would be good for the governor to consider. Mm-hmm. And one thing we asked the governor was, if you're going to vacate the entire board, if you're going to replace the entire board, one thing that we would ask of you is, one, look at this list from the Nashville chapter of the Tennessee State University Alumni Association, and two, make all your picks TSU alums. So state law only requires that one or two, I think two, of the members of the board, maybe two or three that the governor picks, have to be TSU alum, and have to be alums of that school, like Tennessee State, Memphis State, University of Memphis rather. Tell you how old I am right there. Austin P and Tennessee Tech, those schools are what we call local governing institutions. They have their own board. And so Tennessee State University has a board appointed by the governor that is made up of all alumni members. Of course, then you have a faculty member and a student trustee, so that makes the full 10.
Well, I got to tell you, this is really an amazing effort, and of course, it takes one, very determined individual, and I would qualify you, in that role, along with some very proud alums who really want to see fairness and equity, and hopefully the individuals that are on the board that did go to this institution understand what this is all about, because this is much bigger than just today. This is history we're talking about here. Yeah. That goes back a long way. And so I'm really, but before I let you go, I just want, is there anything that we didn't cover that you want people to understand about this entire process? Because you're a proud TSU alum, sir, yeah. and there are many folks like you. What can they do? What can other folks do? The people, the citizens, the past graduates, the ones who care about that school. No matter what. What can they do to help you in your effort?
Well, I'll say this also. Let me tip my hat to the Tennessee Black Caucus of state legislators. I'm not in this fight by myself, by no means. Members of the Black Caucus have been working alongside me, and sometimes going and doing other things, which will help the cause. And that's all being very helpful, because we're walking in lockstep to make sure the university is properly funded and has the best academic pursuits for their students. I would say that for those listening, those members of the Alumni Association, those who are alums but may not have officially joined the Alumni Association, everybody would help the university by donating. You talked about, Mississippi and the HBCUs, and Virginia and South Carolina, all these issues, HBCUs. The one thing that we all can do is give more to the university. Can you imagine a scenario where if the alumni base at our HBCUs gave at a higher level, the conversation about state funding would not be one that makes or breaks the success or the viability of the university. Now we're talking about an alumni base that's giving not at 5 or 10%, but at 20 and 30 and 40%. That's how you build your endowment. That's how you allow the university to not to be so dependent upon the state appropriations. But I would say that to those listening, help donate to the scholarship fund, give unrestricted funds so the university can use that for means that it wants to. And again, our legislators are down there. We do recognize that it's a state institution, and that helps us when we're having conversations with our colleagues about the fact that this school needs to be supported. Its students need to be poured into.
State Representative Harold Love Jr., thank you, sir, for taking the time out of your schedule to visit with me tonight on this show. And there's a lot of folks I know are watching and paying attention and listening to what you have said. Really appreciate your time. Happy New Year to you. I hope that the session this year is more positive than it has been in the past. But I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night.
You too, sir. Thank you very, very much. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, Tennessee State University has had its share of challenges, no doubt about it. They are owed lots and lots of money, and it takes legislators and other folks to get behind this effort. If you care about the school, if you care about the university, if you care about the future of education of these students at schools like this, you need to participate in this process. And I really think that is very, very important. I'm really happy to have him on the show to talk about this. I'm sure some family members are happy as well this evening. I'll find out at some point. So listen, before we get out of here, we're going to leave a little early tonight because, as I said at the top, Alan Crone, who was the attorney for Dr. Marie Fagans in this whole MSCS school board mess, was supposed to be on the show joining me. He could not make it tonight at the last minute. I hope to get him back sooner rather than later. But before we go, I want to say one more thing about all of this. This is the new year for many of us, and a lot of you, do the resolution thing. And by the way, speaking of that, did you know that the second Friday in January is National Quitters Day? I just found that out. I mean, a lot of folks make resolutions at the beginning of the year. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, right? And within 2 weeks, all those resolutions are just shot. All the revelations are just shot. They're done. So, so that Friday will be the second, this will be the second Friday in the new year. And that is National Quitters Day. See, if you didn't know that, you just learned something on this fine piece of radio broadcasting. So listen, as Bryn plays us out, because we're going to get out of here a little bit early tonight, thank you all for joining me this evening. I know a lot of you were disappointed, as I was, not to hear Mr. Crone, Attorney Crone, but I'll get him. I'll get him back on the show. I promise you that. In the meantime, I hope you all are going to have an amazing 2025. All your dreams, all your hopes, all your aspirations, all your prayers come through in ways and in numbers that you can't even believe. I thank you for your support as we enter yet another year on this radio station. Really, really appreciate you and all of your support. So keep doing it. Keep telling folks about what we're doing here. We're going to get it right one day, I promise you that. So for lovely Lola, for Bryn, and for yours truly, thank you for watching and supporting Real Talk Memphis. Until next time, we are out.
Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Watch. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
Hi, I'm Ian Kramer, and when I'm not crunching data, I'm dancing away, and you're listening to WYXR 91.7 FM Memphis.